What up? What up? We're live. This is the check in. Give me a moment while I get some things situated here, real quick. Give me a moment. Okay. Just need to make sure I got the chats open. But while I'm at it, I will say what we always say on this show. We are not trained or licensed psychiatrists, therapists, or anything of that nature at all. My coffee. But we are people who have lived on this planet for a minute. We all have our own journeys. We all go through things. Sometimes we can help others with the things that we've been through. With that being said, I'm going to give the rest of it, which is if you dream of unicorns and cotton candy and you have thin skin, this is probably not the show for you. If you're easily offended, this is probably not the fucking show for you. If you I don't know, if you're one of those people, just go to another fucking channel, watch something else, listen to something else. This show is geared to help people, not just help people, but help ourselves, and possibly guide somebody in the right direction that may need the help. With that being said, again, I repeat, if you are thin-skinned, if you get offended easily, just change the channel, go somewhere else, watch something else. This is probably not for you. But still, I implore you to sit back and listen, because this is real shit. This is real life. And as the topic of the show tonight is lifing. And I am your host, Heat Detector, and I have a special guest in the building. Ange 13, thank you so much for being here.
No doubt. No doubt.
And we spoke a little bit earlier about lifing. And
yes,
generally speaking, like I for this show, I never have anything like pre anything. Whatever's happening in life is what I make of the show, because I can't be the only one going through it. I feel like when things happen or situations, or if I know somebody going through something, the idea for the show generally happens a couple hours for the show. And life was life for me today.
Life me every day.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, sometimes life gets us in a fucking chokehold.
Life and more than usual.
More than usual. You know, I like to think sometimes that I'm a strong individual. I think we all at times think that we're strong and we're capable to handle situations, but sometimes the situation can get the best of you. And if you're not careful, it can go sideways really quick.
Really quick, yes.
And you had said something to me when we were talking on the phone, because you know, I'm a big proponent of listening to the universe, you know, or God, Jehovah, whoever it is, but mine just happens to be the universe. And I'm a very firm believer in that. And as we were talking, I was thinking, fuck, I don't want to do this show tonight. Fuck this, fuck that, because life had been choking me all day. I'm tired. I'm weary. I feel weary. I feel depleted. And as I'm thinking this, you're talking about something, a show you went to, whatever. Somebody asked you for an autograph, whatever.
You want me to tell a story?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I went to LL Cool J's listening party. I was one of the people who was privy to hear the whole album before he made his final decision. And when I was there, a young lady walked up to me and asked me if I was Ange 13. And I was like, yes, I am. And she remembered me from performing at YCA in her senior year of high school. And there was a song that I did. It was called Bitch. And I didn't really want to do this song for the kids, but people had already heard it and was like, come on, let me hear the song. And I had to like smooth things over and say, the word bitch, don't use it. Don't let it beat you down. If anything, let it build you up. And that's exactly what it did for people in that room, because the young lady who walked up to me, she remembered that song and she said, you were such an inspiration. And I remember you doing the song Bitch, and it just was really empowering. And I wanted to know if I can have your autograph.
Hmm.
I'm like, girl, we spent a few hours in that room together. We cool. I don't need to give you an autograph. She's like, yeah, for me, could you give me an autograph? And I was like, wow, yeah. And she was like, it was an inspiration. I'll never forget it. That is how important it is for you to show up. With this, me and this girl was not related. I see people all the time. So a memory of her and I didn't have until that moment. Now she had a memory of me that she held on to positively. It was a positive instance in her life. And she stepped to me to say thank you.
Wow.
And I've been performing for years, man. And I can say really only 2 times that has happened. And that is the most inspirational thing that ever has happened to me as an artist, when somebody comes back and said, you made a difference in my life. That is the reason why I think artists who have put their hat down for a moment, pick it back up. You don't know who you are going to inspire. You don't know, just you being in the room amongst people who are creatives, what your presence will do for someone's mental stability.
And with that being said, as she's telling me this story, and I'm doing my best to pay attention to her story, but the thing that caught me is when she said, we got to do this. We can't stop. We have to. Somebody needs to hear this. And as she's saying that, in my mind was going, fuck this show, fuck everything. I can't, not tonight, I can't. But out of everything she was really saying that, and I told her, I said, that shit just slapped my soul. Because as much as I wanted to not do it, it's so important that I do it. Because somebody needs to hear this today.
And you're influencing people that don't know. Actually, you're influencing people you don't know.
Right.
So if you weren't there, imagine if I wasn't there. Imagine if you weren't here. Imagine if your presence wasn't available for people to gain access to. What would be the real result of you not being there? You really don't know. And the best way you can never find out is to show up where you're supposed to be.
Right.
You got to show up.
And it's crazy because one of the things about this show is that I don't care if the show has 1 million views, 1,000 views. I don't care. I literally do this show because I know for myself what this show has done for me personally, being able to talk and being able to release a lot of this negative shit and a lot of negative energy. And I know what it's done for me. So I've always said, I'm never going to not do this show. I'm never going to not be a part of this. And I don't care if it makes any money. I don't care if people, as long as people watch, somebody out there is going to see it, and it will possibly change the direction because of the things that we talk about on the show. And when I tell you what you said had slapped my fucking soul, it's the universe telling me, because in that moment, my thoughts were, fuck this.
He sure said that too.
Yeah. And so as I said that, I realized that, sometimes things are bigger than us. And it's important for us to recognize our own importance. You know what I'm saying? I told somebody the other day, man, give yourself some fucking grace. And I thought to myself, after we had hung up, I was like, man, I need to give myself some fucking grace. The universe does not revolve around me. And as much as it hurts and as much as things hurt around me, I still must keep pushing forward.
Yes.
And I know that life's for everybody. I know that. We hear it all the time, and maybe because we hear it all the time, we need to listen to people.
Yes. And we also need to be there for each other.
Yeah.
Because imagine if I didn't call you today.
I wouldn't have done the show.
You wouldn't have done the show.
I wouldn't have done it. I'm positive that I wouldn't have done it.
We got to start showing up for each other too. I think it's really, really important that we are supportive of our friends and of our family and of just people's endeavors to make something greater of what's going on right now.
Right.
And it could be just a matter of you saying a quick hello to somebody for a split second, and that split second stop them from walking forward and getting hit by a car. You got to know when you got to be in your position.
Right.
Because a lot of times everything is done so divinely that if you don't take position, you can throw it right off.
Right.
And throw everybody in that loop off too. So take your position.
And with that also, lives. We know that, right? Life can get fucked up. Life can get real fucking tricky on your ass. But when it does, because you also said something else about taking control of shit. Because I could sit back, and it's really easy to sit back and just let shit fucking crumble. Just watch the airplane fucking fall out of the sky and watch it burn. It's easy. That's the easiest part. But life ain't easy. And nothing good comes out of easy. And so it's important that if you are going through it, and if life is life in you, grab life and choke that motherfucker.
You got to get back in control because it can easily slip out of your hands, and you can easily retreat into your sad place and not come out of it for a very long time. I know a lot of people who are in such a dark place, and it takes them a very long time to get out of it. You don't want to see people there. You don't, right. Because that dark place has dark memories and dark thoughts and dark actions and dark consequences. And it just keeps getting darker. So a lot of times we have to be the light for our friends too.
Yeah, we got to be the light for ourselves as well.
Absolutely. I agree. I agree. But when we can't get it out ourselves, we got to make sure we're surrounded by people who can see when we're dimming.
Right.
You got to surround yourself with people who know when you are not you.
Right.
And listen to them. We also have to, and I'm guilty of this too. Because I think I know everything, and the world doesn't revolve around me, but I'm age 13, and that's just how it is. I just think I know everything, and I don't know a damn thing. And I'm glad for people like yourself and the friends that I can actually say that are friends that can talk me down off of a ledge or talk me out of really getting at somebody, or just pull me back into reality because you can easily lose your sense of reality too in this world that you can now not really differentiate real from unreal. They're making it so much harder to differentiate, but you can always spot a friend, an actual friend.
Shout out to Shy City Sheba. It's been a minute. We see you. Thank you for tuning in. Yeah, and I want to touch on how do you know when you know someone, it's easy to walk by and not notice when life is life in their ass. You know what I'm saying? It's easy to walk by or easy to be in their face and not know that they're really going through something.
You don't know. The only way you can ever find out if somebody is going through anything is through what they say in their actions.
Right.
And because life be lifing, yes, we overlook a lot of actions from people probably brushing it off as it's just them, or they must be going through it, or it must be that time of the month type of bizarreness. But if we don't start checking on each other, we're going to start bleeding all over each other.
Facts.
Damn, so serious, so serious. There, and I'm guilty of that too, because I know you're there. You'll be all right. No, how do I know that? A lot of lions don't get checked up on because they're lions. People think lions have it together at all times. They're lions. They're in control of things. They don't need help. They're lions. They help others. I know plenty of lions who cry.
Yeah.
Plenty. And plenty of lions we walk past because we think they got it together. And I feel that we really need to say, hey, how you doing? What's going on? Like, away from the loudness and wildness, sometimes you really need to check on your acquaintance, your friend, somebody that you care about. And a lot of times, because we're so in tune with each other, we can feel when something's wrong.
Right.
And don't let that gut feeling in you that is really preserved for you throw you off when you see somebody else that may be needing your assistance. And not even just your help, just your assistance. Maybe just your ear, not even your advice, maybe just your presence for the moment, maybe just to bounce something off you, maybe for you not to say a word, but you just to absorb what they're trying to let go.
Right.
You know? And I do tell people, don't internalize someone else's grief. But if you can be a bit of a, I'm not gonna say a cushion or a sponge that you can wring out easily, because I don't know how that could possibly done, but if you can just be a presence in somebody's life to allow them to release.
Yeah. I told somebody recently, I was like, you know, as much as things get fucked up or whatever, and I may even be a certain way, sometimes just knowing that they're nearby is enough to get me through whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? Just the understanding. They could be in the other room. It doesn't matter. I know that they're there, and that's comforting. You know what I mean? And especially for the people out there that have dealt with abandonment issues and all this different childhood trauma, and or living in places where nothing was ever stable. So just knowing that somebody's there sometimes is comforting.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I give shout outs to people and big thumbs up to people who stay married a long ass time. And they, like, when they say they're one, they're one. They listen to each other. They bounce ideas off each other. They listen when they just need to stand and say, "Are you serious? That would happen, man. I don't believe she did that, or I don't believe he said that to you. Oh, if that was me, I'm so glad you was calm about the situation." You need that extra person that is that's in your right shoulder and not your left, because you have that left and right angel already. Sometimes you need one more person on the right.
Right.
That last what did you call it? The last stamp?
Right.
That last stamp. So, people who are coupled up, and or if you found your person that gives you that type of
balance.
Yes, I was going to say comfort. Don't let them go, because it's hard to find.
D-Nick says that's tough because energy transference is real. Yes, absolutely. It is a fucking real thing. We talk about that on the show quite often. Energy transfers and real. I told somebody once, we forget sometimes about our energy, but just as it is transferable, we need to be really protective of our energy. I think. You know what I'm saying?
And the energy that's around us.
Right. Yeah. That's key. But sometimes we don't see the bad energy. Sometimes we don't. I mean, or maybe we do. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, in life, things happen, people do shit, whatever, and then maybe the focus isn't there because other shit's going on.
Life be
There it is,
life.
life and again. And while life is life in you over here, all this other shit is going on over here. But the thing is, like, at some point, that shit collides together. At some point, something may happen. Uh, it could be something super fucking minor that just is like the tipping point, and it's sometimes it's really hard to come back from it when it gets to that tipping point. Like it, I like today I had a moment where I just fucking japped the fuck out, and I felt like, it's like, you get a slap, you get a slap, like I just felt like going crazy, and I had to take a step back. And as I took a step back, I'm breathing, I'm doing all these fucking exercises and shit, but that didn't stop my mind from still wondering and still having fucked up ass thoughts. And I was just thinking, like, fuck, man, fuck. How do I get myself out of this? You know what I mean? And then, then you called, you know what I mean? And then that shit, not that it was bad or anything, but it just like, it pulled me back in. You know what I'm saying? It really pulled me back in. And it made me, it pulled my thoughts back in. And then I started to really, really think about what the fuck is important to me.
Yes.
What the fuck is important to me?
What is important? Is being angry at that time, was it really that important to let it take away your joy for that moment? We got to stop letting things that are not important, that really are not important, as unimportant as prom on the next day, not get to us. You remember when prom was the most important thing in your senior year?
I didn't
go either. It wasn't. It was important to somebody. It was important to that girl who saved up money for that dress. It was important for that boy who worked those extra hours for that tux. It was important. But the next day, it meant nothing. The dress meant nothing. The shoes meant nothing. The experience, it was just an experience. It meant nothing. It wasn't as important. It was just for the moment. It seems like it was the world.
Right. Yeah. And at that moment, the world was. It felt like it was the world, and it felt like it was falling on my goddamn shoulders. It felt heavy. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I said it earlier. I felt tired. I felt weary. And even that's hard to come back from. That's hard to like pull yourself back in from that, because that shit, that the energy and everything, that shit is so, it's taxing on the mind, it's taxing on the soul, it's taxing on the physical.
I think that's where a lot of times we should get into our safe spaces mentally, and that's doing something that we like to do. You do music,
Right.
You do editing, you do film, you write songs. I think when you go to places that are really your world and nobody can penetrate it, that's your only escape. A lot of times, a lot of people don't even have that. So you're lucky to even be able to go into a totally different world and block out the current world until you're done creating something else.
Right.
But then you have to go right back into the world where the problem was.
I was gonna say, like, because with that, like,
but you come back with you come back a
little more
calm.
solace.
Yes. When you go into your happy place, you can come back in a better mood, and you're looking at it now at a different light.
That's true. But then, like, this is like for anybody watching, you know what I mean? Like, you can have your safe place, and I'm not taking anything away from anyone. I'm saying you can have your safe place, but that's just like one tool. And sometimes that tool gets a little dull. You know what I'm saying? Because I may be able to escape and get into music and get in my own little space and get in my own little mind. But sometimes that's not enough. That's not enough. Maybe there is somebody out there right now that maybe they do have a little spot or thing in their house or place that they go and pull themselves together, but sometimes that's not enough. We need more tools. We need more understanding. We need something. I mean, I don't know. I don't have the answers, but maybe the discussion will help somebody find some answers. Um, and he says, as a counselor, I'm trained not to be those things, no matter how trivial it is to me. Hold on, that's D-Nick in the building. Hold on, let me bring him in. And there he is.
Hey,
What's happening?
peace, y'all. Blessings.
Peace.
Peace, peace. What's cracking, man? Thank you
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
popping in, bro.
I really
Let's see
pray
you on the
that you
road.
are in the back seat and not the front driving.
I'm in the back. I'm in the back.
Okay.
I'm in the back.
So obviously you've been listening.
Yeah. I was getting out of this gym and, shout out to Styling Out. And then I was popping in. Yes. And, yeah. No, what I had typed, was, like we're, as a counselor, they train us to not, like, no matter how trivial it may feel to me, you know, like you know, I like I have to. I'm recommended to not attack it from like this will be gone tomorrow. This is like 'cause we really don't know what that means to them. Some people, like using us as example, we're all artists. Like some people be like, it's just some raps. You're just making words rhyme, and it's just a beat. Ping pong, bam, it's just some drums, a kick and a snare, but that stuff really means a lot to us, So like it just, so yeah, like there's different ways that we have to just have to address those things like if it really breaks them, like because it really can, like it really can.
What do you say to somebody if like maybe they won't use the words "life is life" in me right now? Well, matter of fact, let's just
Mhm.
say that because people do say that all the time now, and I think when
Yeah,
they say that, they really mean like, man, shit's just fucked up right now.
right.
But we hear it so much that it doesn't carry any weight. It seems it doesn't carry any like, oh, like for a second to go, oh, are you all right? Like, are you cool? Like what you mean? Like to try to open a conversation to maybe, I don't know, see if they're okay. I guess check on them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
So
I,
what was your question? I'm sorry. He
Like like what do we do when somebody says that, because they may really mean it, because it's being said so much, oh, like, how you doing, man? Oh, I'm chilling, man. Life is just lifing right now. You know what I mean?
mm.
That saying has lost, or I don't even know if it had any weight before, but it's become this thing where people just say it, even though they may be going through some really fucked up shit.
maybe we should start asking a little bit more. Now, you
That's what I'm
say
saying. Do
life
you
is
think
life,
that?
and what's going on?
Yeah.
What's happening with life? So we
Yeah, yeah. I'm sorry, and continue.
I think we need to surround ourselves with people that will ask that question,
Mm.
I mean,
because
that's
things become
yeah.
trivial to others. I mean, and what's important to me may not be important to you. But if I am somebody who is normally talkative and all of a sudden I'm quiet, or I'm not responding, or I'm not reacting the way I would normally, I would hope that someone would say, "Hey, what's going on? Is life or what's going on?" I would hope somebody, and I'm going to tell you on the real, I have nobody that's ever done that for me. Never. Not one person. I had to find a way to come up out of a lot of darkness on my
Um,
own.
if someone addressed that to me, I always am asking, you know, a million open-ended questions, especially in the practice of with no judgments, as much as I can. Like, and if they feel comfortable enough to reveal, and I just listen, and even before I give some advice. I try to not like I try to keep that all open ended, like with that and kind of steer them in directions where they can make those decisions themselves, you know. Like if they're mad and they're really angry, like anger is just energy. There's no good or bad to be angry. Like I say here, like and when I'm conducting group counseling sessions, we make a T chart, and anger, and then we cross out anger, and it's just energy. Now, do you have warrior energy or do you have savage energy? What is savage energy?
Mm.
Self-serving, embarrassing, in just total in service to yourself momentarily. What's warrior energy? It's in service of others. That's something that's productive. There's they go through, and I let because I counsel young men, they write these things down. Like what's a warrior like, and what is warrior energy to y'all, and they write them down, and so we can always refer back to that. Like, okay, if you pissed, it's like, all right, because you deserve to get pissed. I get pissed. I'd be full of shit lying if I said I didn't get pissed. But and I ain't no perfect person. So I'm like, yo, are you in warrior energy? I just ask, are you in warrior energy? Are you in savage energy? You want to pop him in the face? Is that in service to others?
Hmm.
Is that warrior energy? Or is that savage energy? I just ask them, and they be like, yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, if they honest, if they like, you know what I'm saying? And like I don't, the way they train us is like, man, because we don't, at the end of the day, we humans, we don't know shit all the time. So you just ask these questions that lead them to make the productive decisions for them in society.
Right.
Right. But
So
imagine if you weren't there. Imagine if you didn't ask the question. They would battle within themselves with it, I feel. And that's why I said we
Oh,
need to
that's
show up for each
yeah.
other. We got to show up. Whether whether we want to a lot of times or not. Show up. Wherever you're supposed to be there, because it's not just because you were supposed to be there, it's because you're supposed to be there. If you're not where you're supposed to be, then things can't happen.
hmm.
Yo, and that's another thing. I'm glad you said that, and that's another thing too. Like my company, and I do this in counseling sessions. I'm like, I always tell, because I just with the young men, I always tell them like, yo, fellas, you have to take these principles and use them for yourself. I'm a luxury right now, but I might not be here. You know what I'm saying? Like, not every school has these type of I'm not a guidance counselor. I'm not going to say what I am as a counselor because that'll reveal this company's name, but I'm that. Not every school has what I am to this school, and my company just went through a crazy budget cut, like a crazy atrocious budget cut. So far, I could be laid off. What you gonna do if I'm not here? You gotta take these principles and you gotta use this to help better yourself.
Right.
Cause like you said, and I didn't have this and you didn't have this. And like I always say, like I'm credentialed and all that stuff, but that don't mean nothing. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, that just gives me better tools to kind of guide you. I ain't no expert. I don't look at myself as like, you know, the what they call them, the grand poobah, all high exalted. I don't, you know what I'm saying? I'm just here trying to help you young men do your thing and
Right.
be productive and not get took to the cleaners
Do you think?
emotionally.
Do you
Man.
think that when somebody when you're having a conversation with somebody and they do say something like, you know, you're like, hey, D Nick, how you doing? And then D Nick says, oh, I'm all right, man. Life is just lifing right now. Do you think that's like that may be like a call to help, a call for help, or a call to like, man, I wish I had somebody to talk to, or like, or even like a
Sometimes,
sounding board or
sometimes,
something?
sometimes it's just like, you know, sometimes it's just, misery loves company. Sometimes it might just be like, life is life, and I might open up someone who's like, man, who you telling? Because it happened to me. Word, man, I'm going through this over here. Like, so it could just be a bonding thing. It could just be like, man, life is life, but I'm not finna get that energy. It depends on how they say it,
Right.
you know like and so and and how well or how open you are to like receive or what you're willing to receive and give with that situation.
Right. And I think that like the reason I wanted to talk about this today is because, well, obviously I said that life was life in my ass today, but I think that um I don't know how to say, like, we need to be aware within ourselves when we feel like life is choking at us. You know what I mean? Like, we need to be like some kind of way to be aware to, like, before it gets to its boiling point, before it gets to you know, something that could go horribly bad, that we're aware of, you know, maybe you're taking on too much today, you know, maybe you need to go sit down somewhere and get some quiet time because there's just too much going on. Or, you know, maybe the people around you, you need to rearrange and move some shit, you know what I'm saying, or whatever the case may be. But we should, how do we become like aware to ourselves that, like, whoa, wait a minute, I think I need a hot ass second.
I mean, getting in tune with what's going on.
Or
You
yeah, that too. Or it could be bills, it could be fucking marriage, it could be your best friend, it could be work, it could be whatever it is that's starting to, you know, grab you and choke you, or you feel like that. You know what I mean? I don't know if choking is the right word, but you know,
I
when you,
get I get you I get
yeah,
you
I mean,
Yeah, you're sibling.
like what is something that someone can do? Because I know that on this journey that I've been on, and that had begun to recognize a lot of things, because the more I become more aware of myself, obviously I'm starting to see my own behaviors, and I'm starting to process things differently, you know. And what does someone do when they don't have the tools, but they know, like, we all kind of know, like fuck, I don't feel good today, or I don't, but we may not have the tools. We may not understand, like, okay, maybe I need to sit down somewhere. Or maybe I need to call Ange, or maybe I need to call D Nick. Maybe I need to call somebody just to vent, or just to breathe, or just to even hear another person talk. Like I spoke on earlier. Like, sometimes just the presence of someone, without they don't have to be sitting next to you or be in the same room, but just the knowing that their presence is here at times can be comforting. But how do we tell someone? I know I may be talking too much, but how do we help someone to understand when that point may be getting real close to, like, snapping, or fucking, you know, losing it?
um
Or is that too
wow
much of a broad question that
no like knowing it is your responsibility to learn your tools.
right.
It is, and
I
like
get that part, D. I get that
interdependence
part,
is a
but
huh?
I get that part. But trust me, because I was one of those motherfuckers that
Right.
maybe I didn't even understand that there were fucking tools. You know what I'm saying?
That's part of your journey to
Well,
learn and
I know, but also the part of the journey now is to, okay, so how, um, because I don't know how to express it exactly, but how does a person let someone else know? And that's why I'm asking, and I'm asking you, and I'm
yeah,
asking D, how, like, if I was somebody just watching this right now, and life is choking me shit out of me. I don't know what to do. And we're sitting here talking about, well, tools, and you're responsible for your own tools. And I'm sitting back and I'm clueless. I'm like, tools? What the fuck are they talking about?
I think the
I
one of
don't
the first
understand.
tools is, like he said, self-check.
What is a self? If I'm dumb,
Let me
fucking
explain.
David. What is a self-check?
A self-check is you checking on how you feel at the time. Nobody else's feelings matters when you're self-checking, because a self-check could mean that you're checking your temperature. Are you so into whatever is happening right now that you feel like hurting yourself or other people? Self-check. Are you so disconnected right now that you're not caring about yourself or other people? Self-check.
I'll also add,
Go ahead if you
like,
can.
I'm sorry, Ernst, continue.
No.
I thought
I
you were
mean,
done.
those are the only two. I'm thinking of another self-checking move, but I agree with what you're saying. You really have to put the focus on yourself if you feel like you're getting ready to go over the edge. Even if before you go over the edge, you got to check with yourself. How am I feeling about this? Man, I'm not cool with this. You got to be able to say when you're not cool with something, even if it's to yourself or even out loud. You'd be amazed at what happens when you say something out loud.
Oh no,
Just to yourself.
Agree. I agree.
Just you by yourself saying something out loud puts things in perspective. So that the only person who can check you, boo, is you. Speaking from the Real Housewives of Atlanta, it's a major self check that goes on, because if you don't, do you really want somebody else checking you? They ain't gonna check you the way you would check you. It would be a totally different check, and it may be a negative check. A check of telling you of how you're so this and so that, or you're too much this and too much that. You don't want that check. You want to check yourself, because when you're self-checking, you can give yourself a little bit of grace, not a whole bunch, but you can adjust what you can take. You can figure out what you're able to put up with. And if you have any tools at all that can deal with whatever's in front of you, and it could be anything in front of you that you just ain't with, and it could be something positive that you're just not with, but that self-checking thing is I think that's step one, because who else is gonna know that you're messed up if they're not really in tune with you? It's gonna be you.
Well, shout out to O'Hara One. He says, you're right on it. Life is way too busy. I feel crazy. Yeah, man. We all, I think, feel crazy at times with shit. And I think sometimes we got to sit back and breathe and treat yourself. Treat yourself to some quiet time. Treat yourself to some you time. Treat yourself to something that makes you happy.
That makes you happy, yeah.
What are your thoughts, D-Nick?
Yeah, like again, it's like I try to give as few answers when I'm counseling as possible. I just try to guide, and help them, because it's their life. So me telling them like, no, don't do that. That's savage, and you gotta acknowledge that yourself. And you gotta accept that yourself. You gotta understand, like, I mean, the most I can give you, like, well, if you do this, this goes here. If you slap this teacher or you punch your mama, this goes here. Gotta, like all of those type of things, because they be going through some shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As well as, like, I keep it in my mind, and I keep this in my mind for degular life, I guess, when I'm off the clock, so to speak. Man, like, I have to detox myself. So sometimes I don't always have the bandwidth. I'm there for my people if but sometimes I don't have the bandwidth, because I do this all the time. Can you imagine being? You can say someone with a way worse position than me, like those people who their job is to handle 911 calls.
Mm-hmm.
They always talk to people in crisis. Always. What does their therapy bill look like? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and like they're not. It's very rare that someone calls 911 and they're calm.
Right.
Like, hey, someone just broke in my house and I got a gun. Could you mind sending some people over here if you got time? That doesn't happen. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? So
Right.
it's really about like helping developing the tools. And it's a developing the tools. They often say like experience is the best teacher. That's not really always true. I don't really jack that. I think observation, eh, and discernment are the best teachers.
Yeah.
Because if you're just experiencing the worst type of, like, who wants to know, like, all right, I'm finna experience doing open heart surgery on you. I don't know, I never done it before, but this is the way to go. Like, no, I don't need your experience to be your teacher. I need your observation and education to be your teacher
Right.
sometimes.
You want to read
So
that?
we,
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I was just asking her
you
if she read the
know,
chat.
I did.
No, out loud.
Oh, okay. But did you want to continue
Yeah.
what you were saying, Nick? I'm so sorry,
no,
Mike.
no, it's all good. It's all good. So yeah, I think we talk. We fight against we fight against being independent, and then we want to reach out for help, which we should. That is at our disposal, but we have to work on being interdependent. Because we can't, and it's not knocking nobody, but we can't always expect everybody to hold us down because that's a blessing, but it's not an expectation. At least I don't have that as an expectation on people. Like I just don't. I just am appreciative when someone has my back. But I got to learn how to handle this stuff as much as I can, like for self, my stressors, the things that frustrate me, all of that type of stuff, my anger, handling that. How do I channel this good? Like, do I want to punch someone in the face or I want to do some push-ups? You know what I'm saying? Like, what am I gonna do? So that I think we have to practice. I always say it's a practice. We have to practice these tools.
Hmm. I agree.
Yeah, I agree as well. I
It
do.
is. It is a. It is a. It's like a nonstop construction site. You know,
What, the human body?
like
the human being?
yeah, the whole thought process,
Absolutely.
the whole everything. Like if a person is really genuinely like waking up and saying like I want to change myself or change my behavior or change my thought process on how I deal with things and handle situations. It's a constant construction site that never fucking is finished.
This is what Shy City Sheba has posted on this awesome show. The human experience is often chaotic and misunderstood. Pain can make the most expressive people retreat and lock the world out. It's like seeing them in a burning room and you can't even save them.
Hmm. That's
That's powerful. that's a lot.
that is a lot.
That is, but
Wow.
pain can make the most expressive people retreat.
Fight,
I agree.
flight, freeze, or fawn.
Yes.
Say that one more time for the people.
Fight, flight, freeze, or fawn.
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 That's when they make excuse.
Mhm.
When you make excuses.
Okay.
So it's you fight against it, or you freeze up,
Or you run away from
or
it.
flight, or flee rather. It's like you escape, and then fawn is like you just take it and make excuses for taking whatever you taking.
Right. The reason I asked you to repeat it, I know I do that shit to you a lot, but because there may be somebody, and just like the question I asked, there may be somebody sitting there and that doesn't exactly understand what we're talking about. They may be like,
And then, and
huh?
that's the thing on them. Get a dictionary. You know what I'm saying? You got to do the work.
Right. Right. Well, and even
And
in
no,
order for that,
not. I'm not against like
Look, we're
repeat,
on
but
the internet.
that's
You
the
don't even
thing
have to
too.
go to the dictionary. Open another window right quick and just type something in. It's even simpler now. You don't even got to go find your
yeah, but
dictionary.
the truth is that there are people out there that don't do that, and then
They don't know how to research.
they don't know how to research, or they don't have the necessary.
That's fun. That's funny.
That's
That's
excuses.
funny.
You're
What you just did.
right. You're
Yeah.
right.
Okay, but well, I'm not making an excuse. I'm just
You
saying.
just did. You just did.
No, but no, okay. I'm well. Then let me be the devil's advocate. Then, how about that? And that's kind of like the reasoning of the show, though.
Most people that fun do.
Okay. Well, but
That's always
that's kind of the reason
I'm
of the
being
show,
cheeky.
though.
I'm being cheeky, but
Right.
no, but that's the thing. What Shashidi City Sheba said, about all of that in shorter $5 terms is fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. And
Right.
these are the things. And then we have to so we talk about the tools, and it's like, if you're like, what the fuck is fawn? It's like, okay, and said what fawn is, and then so now you gotta do the work,
Right.
you know
Right. I
and
mean, that's
being
like the whole
and
purpose of all
being
of this shit.
being codependent, on people to do the work for you is a real part of the problem versus
Mhm.
like, oh, this is a blessing. Man, like you have like heat detector and just have you know, have the check-in. That's dope. Like, oh man, I'm gonna sit up here and listen to people and at least have people that empathize with me, and then I occasionally will get some jewels, or it's like, but if the instant reaction is like, oh man, that's too hard. Oh no, man, they got D-Nick on here, man, he's saying them $5 words. We ain't got no counselors, motherfucker. Then, but you gotta learn to, adjust that. You
Right.
gotta
But that's
learn
why
to
I
deal
say the
with that.
shit that I say, because
Yeah,
maybe there is someone sitting there that didn't understand what the fawn was, or doesn't completely understand flight, and all of that. And so I say, man, can you say that again? And could you say what that word means? Because maybe that will spark the, oh shit,
Conversation.
that's what I've been doing. Because
yeah.
there is people like that. Because I was one of them motherfuckers that you could say the shit in my face. Not that I'm like stupid or anything, but you can say the shit in my
No,
face. But if I don't understand what the fucking tools are, if I didn't, or if I'm just so whatever with my blinders and shit on,
Mhm.
and I'm so whatever, and my
Steadfast.
mind is so stuck on whatever the fuck it is that I'm stuck on, it's hard for me to receive and process that. Does that make
absolutely.
sense?
And that is the person's fault.
That is the person's actually responsibility, not
Right.
necessarily a fault, but responsibility. If you don't do
Right.
something that would help you,
That's a thank you. That's a better way of saying it. I'm being,
D
colloquial,
Nick,
but
you
you're
D
right.
Nick
You're absolutely right.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I think we all need to take responsibility for ourselves, because it's so easy to say it's because of you that I'm as fat as I am. Uh, and so that's super fun right there, super fun. You know what I'm saying? It is because it
Yeah.
ain't because of you, it's because of me. And I think when a lot of people start to realize that uh, God made every single person perfect, the things that we don't like is what we fucked up.
Hmm. Expound
So,
on that a little bit.
um, at one time I didn't like my teeth because I decided that I was going to put a gap in between two teeth because with a quarter, because I saw somebody on TV with a gap in between two teeth, and I wanted that gap because she was so cute. And then the next season she got braces. I'm like, damn. We don't got dental insurance. I messed that up. And I was perfect until I thought I needed to change what God already put together.
Okay.
And what I messed up is what I didn't like because what I had before was just fine.
Man, and I had the exact opposite. No,
Please
because I
tell.
don't look like anybody in my family except like we all had distinctive gaps. My mother has a big gap. Everybody had big gaps. And that was the one thing that made me look like my relatives. And when I was a little kid, my mom got me a retainer and closed my gap up. And I was pissed, as a kid. And I'm like, man, and I had to grow up. Not to mention, I'm the only person in my family. Everybody's name is House, but I'm the only because I'm the son of the daughter. So I'm the only Stockman. So I got a different name than everybody, and I don't look like everybody. I don't even have the family gap. So like I have the thing of like, oh, that's the adopted one. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Ooh.
Like haunting me. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's so crazy that you said that, Aaron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Well.
Because my mother hated her gap. She hated her gap. So she's like, I'm going to fight tooth and nail. I'm going to sell drugs. I'm going to do whatever I got to do to make sure this little boy he don't live with me, but I'm going to make sure he don't got a gap like me.
Does
You know what I'm
she
saying?
know? Did she know that you wanted the gap?
I'm a little kid. I'm stupid. I don't know. Like, she like, like I don't matter. My opinion don't matter. You know what I'm saying?
I
So
think, but actually, at that moment, it did because it was an identity thing.
for me, yeah, but
So
but I'm talking like in the world, it's like, and she ain't gotta hear it. I don't live with her. It's like, nope, you're gonna go to dentist, go back to grandma's house, I'm gonna go home, peace. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay.
It's like, so yeah, she just, but like for me, it's like, dang. And I was like the kid that didn't really speak up for himself. And then, I'm taught to, like, oh, don't hurt your mom's feelings. She's already sensitive because you live over here. Just take it. Just take it. Just take it. You know what I'm saying? So, like,
wow.
again, a major fawn. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Make an excuse and all of this type of stuff.
It's a lot been said tonight.
It has been.
A lot been said, and we are about out of time. And as we do on this show, it's just three of us. So we're gonna start with you, D Nick. Last words, last thoughts.
Man, just take an inventory of who you are, how you feel. Just take an inventory. We do it with like supplies. Why not do it with our emotions? Take an inventory and try not to, give the negative. Try not to give savage energy. That's a better way of putting it. Try not to give savage energy momentum. And as everything, like, be a hugger, hug it. In the hug, you acknowledge, you embrace, and then you can let go.
That's true.
Acknowledge, embrace, and let go. I like it. Ange 13. Last words, last thoughts.
Last words and my last thoughts for today is you're not the only person going through it. You are not the only person. Speak up. That person that you confide in for the stupid stuff, you more than likely confide in the most important stuff. Don't be afraid to say what don't be afraid to say it out loud. A lot of times you just need to hear it. You need to hear it outside of here. You need to hear it here. So then it takes the. If you can hear it here, you got the mind, you got the head, you got the body, you got the person.
Shout out to that. Um, And with that
What
being
about
said,
you? No, sir.
yeah,
You.
no. I say my
Continue.
last words.
Continue.
Yeah, most definitely. My thoughts tonight. I think a lot of things were said. I think a lot of beautiful things were said. And it's like the reason this show exists, you know. And my thoughts today are give yourself some grace. I don't think we give ourselves enough grace nowadays. Um, if you feel overwhelmed, give yourself a moment, breathe a little bit. And I'm going to say something piggybacking off of what you said, you know, because it's crazy enough. The other day, I said something out loud that I had been saying in my head, and it affected me in a very positive way because I was upset about some shit, and I verbalized it out loud. I was like, you know, I'm not a fucking bad person, and I because I hear that in my head a lot. Verbalizing that out loud, it helped.
Because now your heart knows. Your heart needed to hear it.
Yeah. And yeah, give yourself some grace. Breathe. It's not the end of the world. Everything's going to be all right. Talk to a friend. Call somebody. We say that a lot. Call somebody. Check in. That's why we do this show. Check in with somebody. They might need it.
You might need it.
That was a positive affirmation that you put to yourself, Heat.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a fucking. It might be. Some could say like it might be like crude or got naughty words or whatever, but that's a positive affirmation.
Yeah.
Like,
and
and
it felt
it
that way.
resonated because you know it was in your head, it was in your soul, and you know you spoke it. You know, and so now when you spoke it, it vibrated in your body. That's mind, body, and soul, brother.
Yes, sir.
And I think that D-Nick, I say it all the
Mhm.
time. The most favorite song of mine and your group is "Speak It Into Existence."
Thank
When
you.
you say
Thank
things out loud, really, because we fester on things inside. To say it out loud, I'm telling you, it opens it to the world. It opens you to the world to it.
Yeah.
And that's what it did for you.
Yeah,
Perfect
it did.
example.
It did.
Sometimes you
It
got to
did.
say
Yeah.
it out loud.
It did
Yeah.
because I live my, you know, even in my darkest moments, I've never fucked people over. I've never been a person like that. But my outer never matched my inner, if that makes any sense. And so,
Yeah.
like my outer was always like, fuck you, you know, and my inner is like, fuck, I can't, and I can't be this way. I can't be this way. And in that moment, I just, you know, because those thoughts are always in my head, like, you know, you're fucked up, man. You ain't shit, man. You ain't, you know, and I don't know where that comes from, but I'm working on that. You know what I'm saying? But hearing myself say that out loud, and I said that shit loud as hell, and I said that shit with all of the energy that I could muster, and I meant it.
Good.
And now you feel it. And that's the most important part because now you received it.
Yeah. So there it is,
Mind,
people.
body, soul.
Yeah.
You know, you when you said it, it vibrated, and when we speak, and Ant knows this, she's like a beast on the mic. So when you say these things, there's the vibration that comes in your whole body, like you
Yes.
know. So that yeah, like, and the battle is always getting that to align, mind, body, soul, in the line.
Yeah. So you hear it. You heard it here. Get your mind and your body and your soul aligned, man.
Yes.
And with that being said, this has been the check-in. D-Nick, as always, man, love you, bro. Thank you for checking in with us, man. You know we love you.
Blessings. Yeah.
And with that being said, we'll see you next Sunday, 8:30. I will be here. I'm supposed to be here. I will be here. Thank you.
Bless.
Peace.